What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Honky Tonk Tuesday. It's a little bit of a different view. I'm in the studio with my buddy Brian. We are cutting vocals on songs that we've been writing. Y'all might have seen Brian out on the Blackout tour with us with Brantley. So I'm gonna have him as a little special guest before we get our big special guest on here. But how's everybody doing? How's y'all's week been? Where's everybody watching from? Ann, how are you doing? Karen, what's up? Rosemary from the UK. Forever, ever, amen. I might be able to pull that. Holly, what's up? Hope y'all are having a great Tuesday night. We are 3 days away from Whiskey and Rain officially dropping on any platform that you get your music. So Friday, be ready. Whiskey and Rain, it will be officially out. We'll also be dropping a performance video that we teased earlier on our socials. So y'all watch out for that. Judy, Terry, Australia. We got Australia. We got Illinois, Mount Dora, Florida. What's up? Shelby, North Carolina. My dad's on here. So speaking of North Carolina, I'm gonna turn this over. One of my favorite buddies I've gotten to meet, become friends with through moving to Nashville. You meet a bunch of guys that you realize we're all cut from the same cloth, and got to know them real well through our mutual friends, but real well on the Blackout tour a few years back with Brantley Gilbert. And so he's written a few hits with Brantley, and I'm over here borrowing his studio and killing his time. So I'm gonna turn it over to y'all. Welcome my buddy Brian Davis over here for a minute. Come on, B.
Oh, man.
He wears good shorts.
Yeah, y'all caught us in the middle of working. So this is a song that a buddy of ours we both share. We call The Privilege of Calling Them Brothers. We wrote. And my first number one, it's called Hell of an Amen. Hope you guys like it. Preacher said he died too young. Over there told him that gone. Your Uncle Sam died of freedom. Mom and Daddy dressed in black, they folded up that flag, handed it to Dad, started praying. Yeah, he went out with 21 guns blazing, and that's one hell of an amen. Well, that's the only way to go. Fighting to fight till the good Lord calls you home. And so beware, my friend, until I see you again. This is our last goodbye. Hell and amen. Doctor said he ain't got long. He just smiles and bring it on. Yeah. You think I'm scared? Man, you got it all wrong. Little cancer can't break me, no. My heart's right, man, I believe, yes I do. We all hit our knees, started praying. No, he never gave up. He said the good Lord's way, and that's one hell of an amen. Well, that's the only way to go. Fighting the fight till the good Lord calls you home. And so beware, my friend, until I see you again. This is our last goodbye. But if you hell of an amen, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. So beware, my friend, until I see you again. last goodbye. It's hell of an amen. Hell of an amen. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go, my brother.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yes, sir.
So we got a little whiskey pouring here. We got my buddy T. Graham Brown going to be jumping on here. I figured we got 3 days until the single drops, so play a little Whiskey and Rain. This comes out Thursday night, midnight, I guess, is technically is what they do. So if anybody's drinking a little whiskey on a Tuesday, here's to 3 days from now, Whiskey and Rain officially being out, and cannot wait for y'all to hear all of it in its full capacity. But I'm going to give her the best acoustic shot here. Been downpour, beating on the tin roof. It's been black label pouring on the nights. Made a honky tonk out of this living room. Yeah, swimming through her goodbye. Misery loves company. Yeah, whiskey and rain coming down, coming down. Splash of bourbon in a glass. Yeah, pouring something on the pain. Let it drown, let it drown. Trying to wash away the past. Whoa. Since my blue sky sunshine, whole life popped on that midnight train. Till the bottle runs out or the clouds roll away, it's just whiskey and rain. It's been nothing but a hangover trying to get over you. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. I'm gonna wake up in the morning feeling brand new, without a single cloud in the sky. Oh, but tonight it ain't the weather breaking. Yeah, whiskey and rain coming down, coming down. Splash of bourbon in a glass. Yeah, pouring something on the pain. Let it drown, let it drown. Trying to wash away the past. Whoa. Since my blue sky sunshine, whole life popped on that midnight train. Till the bottle runs out or the clouds roll away, it's just whiskey and rain. Whiskey and rain coming down, coming down. Splash of bourbon in a glass. Yeah, pouring something on the pain. Let it drown, let it drown. Trying to wash away the past. Whoa. Since my blue sky sunshine, whole life hopped on that midnight train. Till the bottle runs out or the clouds roll away, it's just whiskey and rain. Till the bottle runs out or the clouds roll away, it's just whiskey and rain. Yeah, whiskey and rain coming down, coming down. Splash of bourbon in a glass. 3 days, it'll be out. And first single off of this third album we've been working hard on, and I cannot wait for y'all to hear it. But now to the man of the hour. I've been very, very fortunate to be able to play the Opry with T. Graham Brown quite a few times, and always such a pleasure, not only just sharing the Opry stage with him, but always being able to hang out backstage and hear him sing, tell like it used to be. All these hits that that paved the way for country music. And cannot wait for y'all to hear his story and for him to play here. So I am going to take no more time and get the man of the hour on here. Honky Tonk Tuesday, y'all. Welcome my buddy, Mr. T. Graham Brown. What's up, buddy?
I was just listening to you sing a new hit, man.
Oh, hey, from
That's
your mouth
awesome.
to God's ears and radio airwaves.
They'll be all over that, man. They'll be.
How you been, buddy? You been good?
I've been good, man. We've been doing a bunch of stuff. I was down in Muscle Shoals day before yesterday, doing some singing in the studio and just having fun. You know, I'm kind of stuck at home. We all of our shows have been canceled. We had a bunch of shows this year, but you know, just like everybody else. And so I'm doing.
Have you been taking more time to write and like work on new music, or?
I've been doing a little bit of everything. I have a show on Sirius XM Prime Country that I've been doing, and we've done a couple of Troy Gentry Foundation fundraisers, and you were at one, and I'm so glad you came. You and Craig Campbell and Jeff Carson reached out to y'all, and man, you are welcome anytime. It was the people
that turned out to be one of the coolest, best nights. So for everybody watching, I got called by our buddy Jeff Carson to come up and sing the car with him and play a couple songs, and it's all for the Troy Gentry Foundation, who great friend of ours, Troy Gentry of Montgomery Gentry, who passed away. And man, we just got to get up there and jam for how long did we just started pulling songs just out of our pockets, man, just bouncing verses back.
We were doing a little Merle Haggard. We were doing a little bit of everything.
We were, man. It was a cool one. Colin Ray was there with us.
Yeah. We just did one last week and had Lee Greenwood and who all? Josh? Deborah Allen and Ronnie McDowell and Tim Rushlow from Little Texas. And we're doing another one October the 29th, which is a Thursday. So any of your folks that are watching right now, it's in Lebanon, Tennessee, at a place called Cahoots, kind of a honky tonk, nice little place. And we got Larry Stewart from Restless Hearts coming, and Richie McDonald from Lone Star, and I think Tim Russlow's coming back, and Heidi Neufeld. I don't know if you know her. She used to be in a band called Trick Pony.
Oh, yeah.
And Ken Mellons, Mark Colley. Do you remember Mark?
Oh, yeah, man. Mark Colley. Yeah.
I talked to him a while ago and told him I was going to be seeing you. So he says, hey.
I'll tell him I said, hey, yeah, that's awesome. Man, for anybody watching, if you get a chance to go to this, not only is just for a great foundation and a great man and all the things that Troy Gentry was and how he affected all of our lives. It's just a great night of music that we're all dying for. You know what I mean? Like you said, T, it's our, we haven't been able to play shows, and country music fans haven't been able to see shows, and being out there at Cahoots, it's just it's a great time, such a great atmosphere, great place, and it's just a night of fun country music. You never know who's going to pop up. You never know what songs you're going to hear. It's just it's a fun night all around, and all for a great cause.
Well, thanks again for coming. Can I sing one?
Oh, I would love, absolutely.
You had mentioned, I tell it like it used to be, I sang a demo on this. I was singing demos back then, and I had just gotten going, I guess, establishing myself as a demo singer. And I was at Tree Publishing one day. I got a phone call, and I went down there, and I remember Bucky Jones, Michael Garvin, and Ron Heller had written a song, and I sang it. You're going to love this. So I sang it, and Tree Publishing, all the offices had these double doors that would open to the outside. And I came out of that session. I did the final vocal at 2. It was a 2:00 session. Anyway, by the time I came out, some of the song pluggers already had that song playing in their office. And as I walked out, I remember it was just a beautiful blue sky. And I heard myself singing Going Out on Music Row. And, I thought to myself, man, I'm in Nashville. I started crying. It meant so much to me. And that kind of got me started on the demo singing stuff, which eventually, you know, when you're singing demos, your voice gets passed around all up and down Music Row, you know, because song pluggers are pitching the song that you're singing on, and so it got, you know, it got my voice around, and that's what really helped me get a record deal. Everybody was, you know, commenting on that. So when we went back in, back then, Michael, you got to, there was such a thing as a singles deal. It wasn't necessarily an album deal. So I had a 6 singles deal, and that meant Capitol Records could put out one single, and if it didn't hit, they had the option to put out another one and another one and another one. So back then, they really had artist development. So they'd give you a shot at it. If it didn't work, they'd give you a second shot or whatever. Luckily, the first single I put out was a top 40 one, and then we followed it up with I Tell It Like It Used to Be, which was a big hit, and they called for an album, and I went down to Muscle Shoals and finished the album down there. So that was the way it worked for me. And you know, back then we cut on 2-inch tape, and there was, you know, if you wanted to fly a chorus or anything, you pretty much had to splice the tape, and it was old school, and there was no such thing as tuning, you know, there was no such tools back then, but they had this little thing they could VSO, I think it stood for variable speed, and they could raise the key a little bit or lower the key a little bit. If you couldn't quite hit the note, they could slow the tape down just a hair, you know. Then that was the closest thing we had to Pro Tools. But anyway, I want to sing I Tell It Like It Used to Be. I've got a friend of mine, Tim Atwood, back here on the piano. Tim played at the Grand Ole Opry for over 30 years. He was there in the house band there. And so Tim's been around a long time too. So I Tell It Like It Used to Be, it would have come out probably in 1985. And one more thing. So I was thumbing through some pictures the other day, and I found this black and white picture when we were all up for the new male vocalist of the year. And in the picture, it's Marty Stewart. We all look like kids. It's Marty Stewart, Keith Whitley smoking a cigarette, as he always did. He always has a cigarette in his hand. Randy Travis and me. And wow. It's a cool old picture, man. You know, Keith Whitley was the only guy I ever saw. We were like brothers, and he was the only guy I ever saw that smoked while he ate. He'd take a bite and chew it up and swallow it and take a drag of a cigarette and put it down. I mean, it was really funny. Keith, you'd have loved Keith Whitley. Was a good guy.
Man, he's one of the many ones that I wish I'd have got a chance to see live. You know, I obviously grew up on his stuff and loving, you know, Homecoming '63. You know, just all 10 Feet Away, as well as obviously, you know, Don't Close Your Eyes and Brotherly Love and I Never Go Around Mirrors and, you know, all those. Maybe I should have been smoking cigarettes and eating. If that's how you end up singing like Keith Whitley, maybe he had a secret. I don't know.
Well, you know, man, Keith and I had just been out that weekend before he passed away, but he was coming off 5 number ones, and if he'd have lived, he would have probably been as big a star as there ever has been.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, let's do Tell It Like It Used to Be.
Awesome.
Tim?
Yeah.
Well, baby. They say that I'm the kind of man who always speaks his mind. Tell me there's nothing stronger than the truth. To be when you were still in love with me, before you got too used to me and wanted someone new. I tell it like it ought to be, 'cause how it is killing me. when they ask about you and me, I tell it like it used to be. Yeah, baby. I wish that I was stronger. I could tell them that you're gone. Well, but that's one thing that I may never do. If they want to hear about our love and how it all went wrong, well, darling, they'll just have to talk to you. Well, I'll tell it like it used to be, when you were still in love with me, before you got too used to me. And what is someone new? I tell it like it ought to be, 'cause how it is killing me when they ask about you and me. I tell it like it used to be. Well, I tell it like it used to be, when you were still in love with me, before you got too used to me. And you wanted someone new, I tell it like it ought to be, 'cause how it is killing me. Yeah, when they ask about you and me, I tell it like it used to be. Oh, yes, I do, baby. Oh!
Yeah. Come on, man. So good.
Thank you, man. And again, hey, man, I didn't even tell you. Thanks for having me on today.
Dude, thank you for doing it, man. It's an honor to have you on here, man. I got some of my uncles watching, a bunch of families watching that, or part of my family's band back in the day, and that's, you know, I remember listening to all your stuff with all of them, and just so many people. I can see these comments on here. What a voice! What a voice! Wow, makes me think of back. Oh, makes me think of back at better times. T. Graham still has it.
Oh, God bless those listeners, man. That's awesome.
Man,
I can't
so
see
much.
all that, but that's great.
How
Feel good.
Take us back to that time. You sing the demo. We all did some weird jobs, but when you came to Nashville, you were doing jingles, right?
Well, yeah, when my voice got known around town, that's when I started getting calls to do. The first jingle really that I ever did was a Super Bowl spot for McDonald's.
Pretty big.
Yeah, it was a good way to start.
A good way to start there, T. That's
But man, you know, I was really fortunate. I've done just about every bit, like Miller, Stroh's, Budweiser, all of that, and Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, 7-Up, all of that stuff. Burger King, Hardee's, McDonald's.
we probably heard
Taco
Graham
Bell.
Brown's probably told you to have it your way. Then we
Yeah.
didn't even know it was him doing.
Yeah. Hey, I did. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. I did that for 7 years. So, yeah, man, I've done all kinds of stuff. Hey, you know what, man? I have had a wonderful career. I'm so lucky to still be able to sing. I'll be 66 years old in a couple of weeks, and I'm really having more fun now than I ever had because the pressure's off. I'm not out chasing a hit, which, as you know, is very stressful and very hectic.
Yes,
And I'm kind of just my wife, Sheila, and I. Sheila gets to travel with me, and we've been together 42 years. So we're having a good time. And People ask me what it was like you just asked me. So here's what it was like. I came along at such a good time, man. I got to work with all the one name people and actually tour with them, get to know them, like Merle and Willie and Waylon and Loretta and Conway and George and Tammy and Kenny and Dolly. All those people I've actually been out on the road with and got to know them, and it was just. I've just had a wonderful career, and I'm still having fun. I'm probably having more fun now than ever.
Hey, that's all that matters, man. We get to be a part of something way bigger than us, and that's country music, and we get to be real fortunate. So, I didn't know that you toured with Conway.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you,
those voices would be one of the coolest shows. You and Conway Twitty would have been a show I wish I'd have been able to see.
Man. Here's funny. I was writing. I got signed to CBS Songs. It's now called EMI.
Okay.
And I got signed to them. I moved to Nashville in April or May of '82, and I got signed to CBS Songs in December of that year. So I got a songwriting deal pretty quick. And so the guys over there wanted to cut a master session on me to try to pitch to get me a major label deal, which never worked out. But we went over to the soundstage studio, and Conway Twitty owned that place. And Conway Twitty had two white 1975 Pacer cars. I don't know if you remember what a Pacer looked like, but it was really goofy. And he had two of them. So I was in the soundstage, and we had the control room door open, and man, here comes Conway. And I'd never had met him. And he walks up and he goes into the men's room. So I go in the men's room, and there's two urinals, and there's like a little wall partition thing between the urinals, and I'm over there acting like I'm peeing, but I'm not. And I just introduced myself to Conway Twitty over the urinal thing.
I've been there, not with Conway Twitty, but I've been there in situations.
So I did that, and I asked him to come in, and I remember he stood in the doorway, and he listened to me sing a little bit, and he looked at me and said, "Sounds good, T." And then, a few years later, I was out working with him, but he was a really nice guy. Man, you talking about he could kill the audience. And hey, this was back in the days. He sold these tour booklets, and this was in the days where the band members would go out in the audience and sell these tour books in their show clothes, and then go up and do the show. That was part of their job, is to walk around.
They would sell these books before they would even go on stage.
Before they would go on stage. And they all got to get like a little bit of a percentage of them. So they were out there hustling, man. But that was the way it was back then in a lot of places. It was just a whole different deal.
Yeah. What song of yours would you say was one that what maybe was a single that you fought for? If you could look back at your catalog and all the stuff that you recording was able to release, what is one of those songs that spoke to you? We're getting a lot of requests for Wine in the Water. I know that was later on, but what was one of those songs that spoke to you like that you were like, man, this has to be something for me to release because that's so important as an artist?
Well, Wine in the Water is probably the best song I ever wrote.
My Uncle Kenny's been requesting it.
Hey, do you know that one, Tim?
I know some of it.
Well, Tim says he knows some
Tim,
of it.
Don't worry, I mess up majority of time on here. So
we can try. We can try it.
What key are you?
What key? I have no idea. F. They're hollering F at me. You've heard a multitude of prayers on my behalf, and I pray one more is not too much to ask. I've tried to fight this battle by myself, but it's a war that I can't win without your help. Tonight I'm as low as any man can go. I'm down and I can't fall much farther. And once upon a time, you turned the water into wine. And now on my knees, I'm turning to you, Father. Could you help me turn the wine back into water? So many times I've hurt the ones I love. I pushed them to the edge of giving up. They stood by me, but how much can they stand if I don't put this bottle in your hands? Tonight I'm as low as any man can go. I'm down and I can't fall much farther. And once upon a time, you turned the water into wine. And now on my knees, I'm turning to you, Father. Could you help me turn the wine back into water? I shook my fist at heaven for all the hell that I've been through. But now I'm begging for forgiveness and a miracle from you. 'Cause tonight I'm as low as any man can go. I'm down and I can't fall much farther. And once upon a time, you turned the water into wine. And now on my knees, I'm turning to you, Father. Could you help me turn the wine back into water? Would you help me turn this wine back into water? Yeah, yeah.
Woo!
I love singing that one. That one helped me get sober, Mike. I got to where I had a bad drug and drinking problem, but through the grace of God Almighty and the love of my wife Sheila, I'm all sobered up, and I'm much better for it, man. I wish I could drink like a regular person, but I can't. So I just thought it was better I just quit.
Hey, man, pays a lot to the saying, behind every good man's a great woman. 49 years, right?
42 years,
42 years.
and we're working on 49.
Yeah.
She's a good one, buddy. She is. She's been up and down all around this music business. She knows it better than I do, probably.
Well, I just want to point out one thing, just because I'm a big UFC fan. Is that a UFC heavyweight title belt in the back behind Tim?
It is. Hand me that belt. Hand it here, man. Yeah.
I'm afraid to touch it. I can't lift it.
It's heavy.
Yeah, are we about to find out about Tough T. Graham Brown, your UFC octagon fighting days, or
Rich Franklin?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Is that one of Rich's belts?
Yep. World Championship.
That is awesome.
World Championship, baby.
Hey, I watched him on the Ultimate Fighter whenever he was on there.
I taught him everything you know.
Yeah.
I taught him not to talk back to his wife.
Best lesson you'll ever learn.
Yeah. Hey, all I know is that you got the belt, so.
Hey, man, it's Brian, right? is it Brian that just sang a minute
Yes, sir.
ago?
Yeah, Brian Davis. Yes, sir.
Man, that was good. Tell him congratulations. I see a BMI award hanging on the wall, and it's
Yeah,
always,
I'm at his studio. Yeah.
yeah, it's always great to get one of those, man. Hey, you know what? Just a quick thing. I got a song to play for you sometime. It's called Which Way to Pray, and Bill Anderson and I wrote it. You know, Bill Anderson is the most awarded BMI songwriter in history. So you know how good it is to get just one BMI award. It's
Yeah.
great. Bill Anderson has had like 95 BMI awards.
I did not know that.
And he's the most in BMI history of any genre, of the Beatles, of McCartney and Lennon, or any writer. He's the most awarded writer. Just thought I'd throw.
Then you wrote this with Bill?
Which one? The song I want to play for you is Gary Nicholson and Bill Anderson and I wrote, and then I think you might like it. I'll hit you up with it later.
Hey, please send it. I would love to hear it.
All right, buddy. I'll do
Absolutely. It. What man? We have a lot of requests for Darlene, Hell and High Water. We're getting a lot. I think this might be the most requests we've had.
Cool. How about Hell and High Water?
Hey, whatever.
I wrote Hell and High Water with a guy named Alex Harvey. He passed away last year. Alex is a great writer. He wrote a song called Reuben James that Kenny Rogers had a big hit on, but he wrote Delta Dawn for Tanya. And I went over to his house. It was right after I got signed to CBS Songs, and he was a writer over there. And I remember we had a 1963 rusted out Volkswagen that I drove over. He had a house on Highway 96 out there, and went out and wrote this song in his basement one day. And I didn't think it was any good, man. And we pitched it for a couple of years and couldn't get anybody to cut it. So when I got my deal with Capitol, they wanted me to cut it, and I've cut my first couple albums in Muscle Shoals. So we went back down to Muscle Shoals and cut this song, and then Capitol wanted to put it out, and I thought it was a big mistake. I didn't have any confidence in my writing. Mm-hmm. And Capitol put it out, and it was the first number one we had. So it goes
there you go.
How much I know. And this thing's been played too. Kick it off back there, Tim.
Let's go, Tim.
Now, baby, don't worry if it troubles your mind, 'cause it'll all wash away, girl, in the river of time. If you need a shoulder, well, I'll be around and be your rock to hold on to till that river goes down. 'Cause it's hell and high water you going through. Come hell or high water, I'll be here waiting for you. I can't keep you from crying, and I can't stop your pain. And Lord, the brightest of sunshine, oh, it never could stop the rain. But you know that I'll be there, just like that old song. I'm gonna be your good morning, baby, when you're crying all night. 'Cause it's hell and high water you're going through. Come hell or high water, I'll be waiting for you. That's a little tough to sing sitting down. I mean,
Yeah. Hey, you crushed that. You nailed it, man. So what were some of your influences when you were coming up before you moved to Nashville? What made you
well, I
do
grew
that?
up listening to this little radio station in Georgia, WMJM, 1490 since 1940. That was their saying. And it was a 5,000 watt AM station. And they might play Otis Redding and then Johnny Cash and then the Beatles and then Jerry Lee Lewis and Rolling Stone. They played a little bit of everything. So I kind of grew up listening to everything. And my folks are not musical. I didn't grow up like a lot of people grew up and their daddy played or their mama played or their grandparent. I didn't have any music in my family. I would listen to this little transistor radio, and especially at night, you could scroll through the stations real slowly. You just turn that little dial, and you could pick up clear channel stations from all over the United States. And I listened to WLAC out of Nashville. There was one called WOWO in Fort Wayne. There were different stations that you could listen to at night that you couldn't pick up during the day. So I listened to a lot of stuff like that. And then I got a record player. I didn't have a stereo. I just had a little record. And I didn't have many albums at all, but I did have Johnny Cash live at San Quentin, and that came out in 1968. I had that one. I had the Vanilla Fudge. I had a rock record, Vanilla Fudge, I remember. And I had a Jerry Lee Lewis live at the International Hotel, Las Vegas, and that was from 66. So I didn't have two or three records that I listened to a lot. I didn't have any Beatles records or any Rolling Stone or even Otis Redding. He was from Georgia. I loved Otis Redding, but I didn't have any Otis Redding records. But once I got grown up and I went to the University of Georgia, and once I got there, I formed a duo with a buddy of mine from high school in Athens, and I started singing for a living in 1973. I was 18. And we would sing at night at a Holiday Inn. We would do 4 sets a night, and then we would get up and go to class like at 8 o'clock in the morning and take 15 hours or whatever, and then go catch some sleep and then do it again. We did it Tuesday through Saturday for a year. We kind of sang our way through the University of Georgia and paid for everything that way. So I kind of grew up doing it after that was kind of a beach music gig that we had. And then I got turned on to David Allan Coe. I watched a documentary at home one day on the public channel, on the PBS channel, and saw David Allan Coe. And I thought to myself, I want to be this guy. So I kind of dropped out of society and grew my hair long, grew a beard, and got a tattoo. And I was David Allan Coe for about 3 years. And then I put a soul band together called T. Graham Brown's Rack of Spam, and we did that for 3 years. Then we moved to Nashville. I was Sheila and I were living on the farm. We got this little farm been in our family for 7 generations. Both sides of my family are farmers. So That's how I grew up in agriculture. And Sheila was finishing up her master's work at Georgia, and she came home and said, man, we need to go to Nashville. And I was laying in bed one night listening to the radio, and I heard Lee Greenwood come on and sing Ring on Her Finger, Time on Her Hands. I said, we got to go, because he has that raspy voice too. And I thought, man, we just need to go. So she talked me into it, and I was really scared, Michael. I was scared to leave my little cocoon, I had my thing that I was doing down there. But Sheila said, we got to move, because if we don't, you're going to second guess yourself the rest of your life. And if it weren't for her urging me to go, I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you.
That's so awesome, man. And isn't it funny how those nudges, for me, it was going to my dad, my grandpa, and, figuring out how to make it to Nashville from Eustis, Florida. We got to have those people in our corner, and you had your wife that believed in what you were doing and believe that crazy dream that we all have of moving to Nashville and making it happen, that's a scary thing to do when it's your own dream. I couldn't imagine.
You know, man, people ask me a lot, is it harder to make it now than it was in 1985 or 84 when we first got going? And, you know, man, it was hard back then, but I think that now it's got to be harder, Michael. It's got to be harder for y'all to bust through and have hits. It just seems like there's so many more people, there's so many more record labels, and there's only so much space out there. You know, of course we didn't have advantage of having all the social media stuff, and there was no internet. I mean,
right.
when we came along, there weren't even cell phones. The first cell phone I had was about 1988, and it was one of those big old white brick looking things. So it's a whole different world out there. But I swear, I think it was probably easier when I came along, and it was probably easier before me than it was for me, you know. So I don't know, but I wouldn't want to be having to fight that fight today.
Man, it definitely is a different time. You know, like you said, we got social media, we got all these different outlets, you know, at our fingertips. We got our phones and, you know, everything, computers and stuff to be able to release music. But, you know, I do think that there's a something to quality over quantity, you know, and a lot of songs. And I think that one thing that, because there wasn't such a, we have to have this now, you know, we're in a society where we have to put out music constantly. We got to do this constantly, keep everybody going. You know, people were buying and diving into albums then. And I think that's why you have songs like, you know, Tell It Like It Used to Be, these just anthemic, great country songs, you know, Wine Under Water. You have these songs that just really move you because people are diving into music more. So I think you're right. I think probably before, like you said, before T. Graham Brown came out, it was easier back in the day. And there's probably somebody going, I don't know if I'd want to do it then. And then, you know, I'm sure the day will come where I'm looking at a time and going, man, I don't, it was way easier back then, but seems to be like there's a whole lot of more outlets for people to get music, which is a good thing. But, you know, I think that how your generation wrote songs, delivered songs, sang songs, the passion behind the music, is what gave us where we're at today as a genre, as artists, you know, is where we're at just as a whole. So it is funny to talk to some friends of mine, like, you know, you and Joe Diffie, or, you know, which I remember back, Joe was telling me we had a similar conversation, and I asked him the same thing. And he just pointed out a lot of the stuff that we're doing now that y'all didn't, that just wasn't a thing then, you know, like you said, there wasn't internet, there wasn't all this stuff. So, I'm glad that you moved to Nashville, man. I'm glad that you were singing demos, and Don't Tell Like It Used to Be. I Tell Like It Used to Be was a song that you played, because it definitely was a song that I remember growing up listening to, and then being able to see you on the Opry, man, is just always such an awesome thing to hear you sing these songs live. It's so cool.
Well, thanks, man, and thanks for having me. You know, one more thing. One thing that you don't have now that you had back then, as far as a songwriter goes, was album cuts.
Yeah.
You know, you could make money being a songwriter if you had an album cut and the albums were selling them, you know, platinum, and you had some cut, you could kind of eke out a living. But it's tough now. I think people, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like people download the songs that they like, you know, as opposed to buying a whole album. Is that the way it works now?
Yeah, it's definitely became more of a singles-driven market. But I always encourage people to buy albums, because then you probably feel the same way. But if you really want to know an artist and you really want to dive into who they are and their music, listen to those album cuts.
Yeah,
you know, those album cuts is, you know, we put out the songs as singles that we love, and we obviously feel the hit, you know, that thing that a hit song has, whether you've written it or it's been pitched to you. But if you really want to know an artist, dive into those album cuts and really live in those albums. You know, we live in such a fast-paced world that I try to encourage a lot of people, you know, my generation and you know, everybody coming up, of buy those albums and dive into those album cuts. And you really want to know an artist, you want to hear music that'll change your life. Hear a song that somebody just had to get out, that maybe it was never meant to be in radio. Maybe it was never meant to be a hit song, but it'll completely change your life, man. So I'm with you. I encourage everybody to dive into album cuts and dive in those songs that you didn't hear on the radio, and really get to know the artist and hear those songs that you.
Well, that's definitely a good way to get to know the artist, no doubt about it.
Well, buddy,
what
was that?
Well, I was going to tell you a quick story. Do I have time?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
So I was out on the road with Merle Haggard, and here's an album story. So back then,
Awesome.
You would buy albums and you would play them over. Your favorite albums, you just play them over and over and over and over, and they would get scratched. And from taking the album in and out of the cover would split, and you'd put tape on it to hold it together, and it would just be all fuzzy on the corners, just beat up. And those were your favorite ones.
Yeah.
So I had a stack of Merle Haggard records, and I kept forgetting them. And then finally I remembered to take them to the bus. We were playing at a place called the Oil Palace in Tyler, Texas. And it was John Conley and Merle and me. So
that's so awesome.
I opened the show, and while John Conley was on, I went out to Merle's bus and pay my respects like you do when you're out on tour with somebody like that. You always go to their bus and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And
Absolutely.
And so I took this stack of records, and Merle treated me great. He treated me like a regular guy. He never talked down to me. He had time for me. He was really good to me. And so I took this stack of records up, and he was sitting in the front lounge of the bus, and he said, "Hey, Brown, how you doing?" I said, "Well, I got some stuff for you to sign if you don't mind." And I said, "It's a lot." And I probably had 8 or 10 albums. And I set them down on the table, and he was thumbing through them. And they were so well loved and listened to. It was like the ultimate compliment to him. He looked up and he said, "Man, Brown, you've listened to these, hadn't you?" I said, "Yes, sir. I've learned a lot from those." So it was kind of like the ultimate compliment. I don't think I could have said anything that meant more to him than to see how beat up those albums were, because he knew that I'd listened to them over and over. So yeah, I'm like you, man. I'm an album guy.
And they're what better albums to buy than Merle Haggard's?
No kidding.
Man, those albums, those stories, blue collar poet for a reason. I mean, just the way that he was able to deliver his story and make his life so well written to where all of us, from Brandon Man to Mama Tried to Today I Start Loving You Again. I mean, goes on and on of all those hits that we all grew up listening to. That's such a cool story. It's so true. Whenever you meet artists like, I got to meet you and become friends with you, and artists that you grew up listening to, and whenever you get to actually speak to them about how their music influenced you and have that moment, is such a rare thing to have, but something that you get to hold on to when you do get that moment, like you did with Merle Haggard. That's such a cool story.
Yeah, well, there's not many Merles out there.
I know. God made one.
There's not many Merles out there.
Yeah. Man, I want to thank you so much for hopping on. Is there any way we could get one more song?
Yeah. You want to do Darlene?
Sure.
Okay.
Can we do Darlene?
A lot of requests for Darlene, so I'm glad
you had mentioned that.
On Brian's house.
Hey, Tim, let me tell you one quick.
Come on, I love it.
So I didn't write this one. Ricky Ray Rector, Mike Geiger, and Woody Mullis wrote this. So I got it pitched to me on a cassette, and I put it in my back pocket. I loved it. I put it in my back pocket. I had a meeting with my producer, Ron Chansey. So I went in and I said, "Man, I think I got one." And he opened his briefcase, said, "I think I got one too." And we laid the cassettes down. It was the same song. It turned out to be a number one. All right, kick it on. Where we at?
We're in the wrong key.
Well, that's your fault.
I know it. Let's try it again.
All right. Boy, that makes more sense. Thank you, Tim. Darling, sit down, I need to talk to you. Then you do what you wanna do, but just hear me through. And darling, no, you don't need no other guys. But when you gonna realize how much I love you, yeah. And darling, go in there and pack up all your dreams. I'll have all I'll ever need if you go with me. And darling, honey, I can give you everything, and I want you for my darling, darling. Come on in.
Thank you.
Darling, we're both tired of just hanging around, tired of dreaming in this sleepy town. The rest is history. And darling, go in there and pack up all your dreams. I'll have all I'll ever need if you'll go with me. And darling, honey, I can give you everything, and I want you for my darling, darling. I said I want you for my darling, darling. One more time, Kim. Oh, I need you for my darling, darling.
Oh,
God bless you.
T, thank you so much, buddy. Hey, tell everybody where they can find all your stuff. I know that we're not on the road right now, but we'll be back at it. And any new music, let everybody know where to find it.
I just did a deal with Time Life Warner. All my stuff is now on all the streaming platforms. I have a new album. I have a live album that came out this past month. I'm having a new one come out next month. It's called Bare Bones. It's an acoustic greatest hits album that I'm really proud of. So you can get me on all the streaming platforms. You can buy all the stuff, on Amazon, or you can come to our website and get it. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got all of that, and it's all under my name. You can go, if you would, go to Prime Country on the SXM and look up Live Wire. You can get it on demand anytime you want to. And this month, our guest is Winona. And I always have 6 artists, play some live cuts from 6 artists, and always have a guest. So this month is Winona. I think next month, I can't say yet. Because
you surround yourself with the unnamed artist I'm seeing. I've noticed a trend.
So, yeah, you will definitely know this next person.
Awesome.
So it's a lot of fun, man. We're having fun, and God bless you, Michael. And thanks so much for having me, and much, much love and much success to you.
Hey, man, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see you, buddy. Tell everybody we said, hey, Tim, thank you so much back there. And
Whiskey and Rain, #1.
Come on. Hey, fingers crossed. Tell Rich Franklin you'll teach him how to, do an arm bar later on or something when you see it.
Hey, and tell Brian thanks too. He did a great job.
Yes, sir. I sure will. I appreciate it.
We got to book a writing session sometime.
Let's make it happen. Hey, I want to hear that song with you and Bill.
Okay, buddy. I'll do it. Hey, thanks again, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. See you, buddy.
Bye.
See you guys. T. Graham Brown. So awesome, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope y'all had as much fun as we did. All those stories is when I started all of this. So being able to hear those stories and hear those songs is pretty incredible. Y'all make sure to go check it out. T. Graham Brown, new music, and obviously he'll be hitting the road back with all of us in 2021. So y'all be safe. Love you guys. We'll see y'all next Tuesday. We're going to keep rolling this out. Reminder, 3 days. Coincidence. If you need to remind yourselves Dale Earnhardt. Number 3 more days. Single drops. Y'all go get it. Whiskey and Rain coming this Friday. Love you guys. Y'all be safe. Again, T. Graham Brown, thank you. My brother Brian Davis. Love you, buddy. Y'all be safe, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday.